What's up, everybody? Dom here with RB and a new addition to the show, Katelyn, RB's girlfriend, joining us for a very special episode this week of Top of the List. In the spirit of Halloween, it being October, we will be discussing our favorite childhood Halloween films. Could either be films that take place during Halloween, could be films that just remind us of Halloween, of monsters, ghouls, other kind of frightening things for Halloween. But without going too far off in the intro, perhaps we should start off with a film that Katelyn and I had in common. Watched it when we were younger on Disney Channel, a Disney Channel original film. So I'm going to hand it over to Katelyn. Maybe she could just say a few words about a very special film called Halloween Town.
Well, thanks, Dom, for that intro. Halloween Town is my favorite childhood Disney Channel movie. Just in general, Halloween movie or not, I loved it. I used to watch it with my two older sisters at my grandparents' house, and we'd always watch it every year for Halloween. It was like a tradition. And there's 3 other movies after it too, so obviously it did pretty well.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. And they made a bunch of them, like you said, and a couple of those I think I've seen and I liked. And then I think it was Halloween Town High. That was my least favorite one. But I think Ryan, you checked this one out too. What'd you think about this one?
Yeah, this was definitely, movie came on high recommendation from both you, Dom, and from Katelyn. So of course, I had to give it a watch now with pretty much anything and everything Disney at our fingertips with Disney Plus, and I really enjoyed this film. I liked it. I did have a few problems with it, but if we're going with the top of the list score, I give it like an 8.5 out of 10, 8 out of 10 maybe.
Wow. Okay.
Really enjoyable. I like the acting. There were some big name stars in this film. I mean, the main character, or I guess the main sort of the grandmother in the film is played by Debbie Reynolds. One of the greatest, and continuing her fantastic work on screen. I really liked her performance. There's some cameos as well. Ray Romano makes an appearance in this funny line. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done for kids channel original, straight to TV movie. I liked it.
Yeah, so I guess if we're giving out our scores now, I'll just say this. I feel like in any other month other than October, this is your average film, right?
Yeah.
In October, it becomes that special film that Katelyn and I grew up with. You sit down, you kind of get cozy, and you watch this film, and you get in the spirit of Halloween time. And I think that's one of the greatest strengths of this film is that, yes, it's a kid's film, but as an adult, you could watch it, and you could still feel that same way as you did when you were a kid. And I think that's really one of the most admirable qualities, along with the fact that, there's a lot of Halloween movies out there, specifically Halloween. They're bloody, lots of, violence, a lot of gore. But I think this film does a great job of capturing the light part of Halloween, the trick-or-treating, the magical feeling that you get when you're out on Halloween night. I think they did a great job with that. So for this movie, in any other month than October, I'd say this is about a 6 on my scale. But in October, if you're watching it to get ready for Halloween, it's an easy 7 out of 10, a good movie. Really gets you in the Halloween mood. And I'm not sure if you wanted to give your score or not, Katelyn.
Well, for me, definitely in October, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I love watching it. It gets me in the mood for Halloween, and I love it. It's fun. It's very lighthearted and definitely good for family. So it's good for kids, and I grew up watching it all the time. I have a lot of nostalgia when I watched it again.
Oh,
And
yeah, totally.
Real quickly here, fans, don't worry. As we mentioned, we're doing our family Halloween films now, and Dom mentioned some of the more bloody, gory stuff. We will get into that as the month of October goes on. We have some fun stuff planned for you. But once again, these are our favorite childhood Halloween family movies that really get us in to that sort of side of Halloween spirit, the trick-or-treating side and the candy side, and the fun part of October, not
Yes.
the terrifying part that Dom and Katelyn enjoy a little bit more than.
Yeah, and one final point on the Halloween Town movies. As a whole, I think as they went on, maybe they moved away from this as the computer generation of filmmaking came forward. But especially in this first film, the makeup effects on some of these monsters, I was shocked to see the high quality of it. You know, a lot of those ghouls, once you actually get into the Halloween town itself and you see, you know, the cab driver that's a skeleton and a few other creatures. Luke, the guy, you know, he starts off looking like a handsome guy, but by the end he's disfigured. What is he, like a troll or something like
Yeah,
that?
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was one of another a big thumbs up on this film for
That
that part.
that I would say was probably my favorite part of this film was, when you're in Halloween Town and you see all the ghouls walking around, it's sort of like a scene of the perfect suburban town of everyone dressed up in costumes. And that's what I loved about it. I thought that was so great because it was all practical effects at the time. I
Yeah.
think the film was 1998 or 1999.
Correct.
Not too
Yeah.
heavy in the special effects. I really enjoyed that part about it. Definitely the costuming, the makeup. I thought it was great.
Awesome. So definitely a recommend from all three of us on Halloween Town. And with that said, I kind of want to move into one that Ryan and I had a connection on. It's an animated film, and if I'm being honest, I think if you discount some of my other favorite Halloween films, like the actual John Carpenter's Halloween, I think this has a place in the top 5 greatest Halloween films of all time for me personally. Monster House.
Yeah.
Really great animated film, premiered on Cartoon Network. I'm not sure if that's where you saw it or not, Ryan, but I definitely saw it on Cartoon Network as a premiere. But I'll just give my score and then hand it over to you guys. Monster House is a must watch, a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. This, for me, Monster House is probably my all-time favorite animated childhood Halloween movie. This film, I mean, it really is an introduction for a younger generation into suspenseful films. I mean, there are some great jump scares in this film for someone who goes and see. I think it was 2004, so we were like 7 years old when this came out. It's got a great story. It's got a great message too. I love the twist at the end with the house. I don't want to spoil too much for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, who's going to give it a try. Maybe those of you, our older audience who have some younger children, you want to introduce them to the Halloween film genre. But I really love this film. Actually, so it must have been because I looked this up. I saw that this film came out, strangely enough, in like June or July. But I saw this in theaters around Halloween. So maybe it was a premiere on Cartoon Network, but they definitely did air this in movie theaters because my grandma took me to see it. And I remember loving it, seeing it with her at her local movie theater in San Bernardino down in Southern California. So I have really fond memories of that, seeing it in theaters around Halloween time. And this is one that I watch every single year. I hadn't seen Halloween Town like you guys, but this is sort of my Halloween Town in that sense. So to me, for a Halloween animated film, this is a 10 out of 10. Overall, I'd say it's still about, like you said, Dom, a 9 out of 10. I think it's a really well done animated film.
Yeah, totally stands on its own as an animated film. And a few things that I really liked about this one. I liked that they weren't afraid to go scary in some parts. I remember really being scared watching this as what'd you say? We were around 7 years old.
7 years old, yeah, it was 2004.
Yeah, like some really scary parts. And like you said, very surprising ending and kind of an emotional pull at the end there too for people that haven't seen it. Don't want to spoil it, but Katelyn, have you seen Monster House and what were your thoughts on it?
So I actually watched it on Cartoon Network as well. I saw it there. Like I didn't go to the movies all that often as a kid, but I did see it on TV with my sisters again, and I really enjoyed it because it kind of got me into the scarier Halloween movies. Definitely, even though I was still pretty young, but I definitely enjoyed the suspense of the movie. And my sisters didn't like it as much because they were kind of scared, even though they're a little older than me. But I definitely enjoyed it, thought it was great, and I scared them a couple of times. It was pretty fun.
Awesome. Do you have a score for us for Monster House, maybe?
I'd probably give it about an 8.5.
Yeah. Fair score. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we all give a thumbs up to this one. Ryan, do you have anything else to say on Monster House?
I don't on Monster House, but I want to take the lead on this. On this next film, and Katelyn can jump in as well on this one because this was one that she had introduced to me. I had never seen these films, but I want to say it must have been a couple of years into our relationship when the third rendition of this film came out. So we went back and watched the first two too, and that's Hotel Transylvania. Now, the first one is more of a Halloween film, I would say. The second and third, not so much. But of course, you have the running theme. Our main character is Dracula. Of course, I don't know how I missed this one because it's played by Adam Sandler, who is like my all-time favorite actor, filmmaker, whatever. As Dracula, and his usual group. Kevin James is in it, I believe.
Yep.
CeeLo Green is in it. So
Selena Gomez plays his daughter.
And then Selena Gomez, who does a great job. Andy Samberg's in it as well, as his daughter's love interest. And I thought this was a hilarious movie.
Very funny.
Yeah, and the same for the second and the third. So we watched all of these, like I said, we saw 1 and 2, and then leading up into 3, which is actually a summer movie. They go on a cruise ship through the Bermuda Triangle. And, I just love how original it is. I love the idea of the hotel run by Dracula. I love the play on, into the third, the vacation. I guess the second one wasn't too memorable because I don't really remember what happened in the second one.
I think I saw that one. And is that the one where they have his son, or no, his son-in-law and his daughter have the kid?
Yeah, Denisovich. Yes.
I think that's okay.
And
does that have something to do with camp or?
His father shows up too, and it's voiced by Mel Brooks, which is always great. I mean, Mel Brooks is, the king of the funny horror, of course, when we think of Young Frankenstein.
Of course,
Which is another great one. I don't know if you can consider that a family one, but I'm going to give a plug to Young Frankenstein. That's my dad's all-time favorite, in fact, that's his all-time favorite movie. We own it on DVD. We don't own DVDs at home, but my dad bought Young Frankenstein. And he still has it, and he displays it. So, but jumping back to Hotel Transylvania, this series of movies are great. The first one I would say is probably like an 8 out of 10. Altogether, the series I would give like an 8.5, 9 out of 10. I really like the most recent one, the third one that we went and saw in theaters. That was summer a couple of years ago. I thought it was a really original idea. Overall though, I really like this series of films. I wouldn't put it on the same level as Monster House, but really liked it.
And what did you think, Katelyn?
Yep. I definitely love the first one. I think I remember seeing it with my family originally, and then I got Ryan to watch the first one and the second one because I didn't know that the second one had already come out. Oh. And I definitely thought that the sequels were almost better than the first one because it was very original and kept me wanting to watch more and more. So I think they did a really great job with the whole series and everything. My take, I think I would give it probably an 8.5 or 9 as well for the whole series.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have seen 1 and 2. Definitely haven't seen 3. So now that you said you like that one so much, I'm going to check that one out.
Definitely my favorite of the 3. The third one, the most recent one that we saw in theaters.
Okay. So yeah, definitely going to check that one out. But like you said, 2 was kind of forgettable for me, but I think that 1 really did a great job. I probably, like you said, around that 8 range, I would say. Maybe you could convince me 8.5, but I'd say probably an 8 for these ones.
We'll have to watch 3.
Yeah, I'd have to watch 3, and then maybe I can move it up a little bit. And then I think the next place where I kind of wanted to go was a cartoon, not released in theaters as far as I know, but there's a handful of ones that were released on DVD. I'm talking about these Scooby-Doo movies that I used to get from like Blockbuster and stuff like that. And there's a couple standouts for me.
Hear it, yeah, because I can tell you, I have my favorite Scooby-Doo circled, and I've been wanting to talk about it for a while.
Okay, great. So I think my favorite one has to be where they go to Salem, Massachusetts, and they are involved with all these witches, and I think it has to do with like this band of 3 girls. Hex Girls, yes.
Yes, I love that one.
I love that one. That's my very favorite. And then I also got to give a shout out to the one that has to do with aliens. Also a really fun one. Can't remember what that one is exactly called. But what were you thinking of, Ryan?
I love the one with the cyber ghost where they go back.
Cyber Chase.
I have that one on VHS actually. And I must have watched it 1,000 times. It is my all-time favorite, where they go into the computer game and all the
that one is great.
They're not like able to unmask them. They have to go through the different levels. I thought that one was so cool. Such an awesome idea.
and they have to face their old designed selves within the game
Yes,
itself,
yes,
and they
exactly.
team up with themselves. I thought that was a really good one too. Have you seen any Scooby Doo, Caitlin?
Yes, these are blasts to the past. Like I can't remember a specific one that I really like, but I do remember all of these like little things that I would have forgotten about otherwise.
There are some great ones that come on, like old school ones on Cartoon Network right around this time of year.
That's
I
true.
remember watching one where they like have to team up with the Harlem Globetrotters. I love that one where like the Harlem Globetrotters bus like breaks down in this forest and they're driving the mystery machine with them and they solve mysteries with the Harlem Globetrotters. I love that because I love the Harlem Globetrotters. My parents started taking me to see them at a young age and they're just so cool and quirky and fun, and seeing that on a Scooby Doo was awesome. But yeah, there are just so many great Scooby Doos.
There was one
Totally.
Halloween one with Scrappy Doo in it, and I can't remember what it's called for the life of me, but it was so great. I love when they have Scrappy Doo in it. He's probably my favorite.
Me too. And I think let's take a second here just to put it so we have it on the channel. What do you guys think of the live action Scooby Doo, which Ryan, I think you might be surprised to learn, was directed by James Gunn, the very first live action Scooby Doo?
I have not seen the live. So I've seen the live action 1 and 2. I saw them both in theaters.
Uh-huh.
I have not seen them since then. So what was that? Like 2006, maybe?
Wow.
Yeah, way back.
So I could not. I mean, as a kid, I was still in that age where movie on the big screen. I love it. It's great. But I mean, if I would like it now, I don't know.
Okay.
It's been a long time.
I watched them, I think I want to say maybe a year or two ago when I was in college. The first live action one, I have to give a shout out. It's not a great movie. The story is kind of forgettable, but I do have to say the monster designs and like all the situations where they're emulating the, like when they always have like a song playing in the actual cartoon show and they're running away from. Yeah. So, when they're emulating the best parts of the cartoon, the live action does a great job. But yeah, like I said, the story's forgettable. So I didn't know that you guys hadn't seen those in a while, but that's kind of my thoughts on those ones. And then,
And
did you have any other recommendations?
There's Scoob as well. I mean, that's up on HBO Max now. And that looked really good. It seems like they're going to do a backstory of like Shaggy and Scooby and how they got together. Have you seen Scoob yet? Because we have not, but we've been saying we want to see it for a while now.
Haven't checked it out yet. I heard that it's not really the monster mystery that we've come to know. There's a little more like they shoehorn in this superhero plot with Scooby and Shaggy. So that's kind of what's been turning me off, but we'll see.
It's kind of more than a redo or remake.
Yeah. So did you have another recommendation, Ryan? I think I remember that you did.
Yeah, I had one more, just sort of throwing it back. Something I remembered seeing on Cartoon Network when I was really young and had to do some research to even find the name, but I remember now. Very similar in the idea with Halloween Town. It was called Scary Godmother. It was direct to video on Cartoon Network. It's actually based off a series of children's picture books. But really enjoyed this one as well. Sort of, a movie about not being scared of Halloween and the monsters and that they're not going to hurt you almost, which, like I said, I'll own up to it. I'm a huge baby. I horror movies, so I'm not looking forward to doing some of these episodes later on this month that we're going to do. Even like during Halloween, like I hated when people would make their own haunted houses, having to walk through those to get my candy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought it was a really heartfelt movie, and I think that's what the book series was all about. Apparently they made 2. I had only seen the one. Once again, aired around 2004 or 5, somewhere in there, but I thought it was a really cute movie. Cool animation, too. It was sort of done in the vein. The characters look just like they're drawn in the book. I didn't know this until I just researched it now. But they were like drawn how they were in the book, but it was like a 2D background with 3D characters, which I thought was really neat.
Okay.
It was kind of neat in it.
Awesome. Yeah, not familiar with that one myself, but I'm glad to hear the recommendation from you there, Ryan. I do have a couple just kind of lightning rounds. Maybe you guys could give me your gut reactions to a few of these ones. Got to throw it back to another surprise directorial debut. I'm not sure if it's the debut of this gentleman, but I'm pretty sure it's one of his first big feature films was Jon Favreau directed a film called Casper. based on Casper the Friendly Ghost, those young cartoons we used to grow up watching. And it was a live action Casper. And I don't think that it would hold up today, but when I was a kid, this was one of those films that I would watch to get in the Halloween mood, and it has a little bit of that Christmas mixed into it, which is some of a familiar holiday theme with these sort of movies. But I do like Casper. Have you guys seen that Casper film? Came out back in 1988, I think.
I have not seen it, but I
Or
will.
1995.
I learned a fun fact about Casper recently. Did you know that the original Casper drawing is just the same drawing of the cartoon Richie Rich, but with no hair or clothes?
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea, but if you look at it side by side, it's the same exact drawing.
That's crazy.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, shout out to, Instagram knows that I like strange, quirky facts, and it just popped up on my feed as a sponsored post, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Okay. And then I kind of want to throw this one at you. I have a feeling you guys have seen this one. Kind of a Halloween Christmas mix. That's what kind of brought me down this one. The Nightmare Before Christmas, a classic in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Anything Tim Burton. Yeah. It's brilliant. His animation is just so incredible. And for anyone who got to see his exhibit at LACMA, there we go, Los Angeles County Museum of Art, the stuff he does, his mind, just the way he sees the world has to be crazy to see it through his eyes, because how he could imagine something like that's incredible. And really, you could name all of his, films as Halloween films. You have that, you have The Corpse Bride, you have Frankenweenie. Was Paranorman his? That may have been it. Coraline, I know. He's a master of that. He's got to, we got to pay homage to him in this episode, because he's become the master of Halloween family animated films. So he
and speaking of Tim Burton here, I also want to bring up one. I think, Ryan, you haven't seen this one, but it's become a cult classic once again, kind of that hybrid of Christmas and Halloween themes. I want to bring up Edward Scissorhands. I'm not sure. I think, Katelyn, you might have seen this one. I'm not sure. I can't remember if you ever saw this one. No. I love Edward Scissorhands. For me, out of all of Tim Burton's films, this is my favorite, actually. Johnny Depp getting one of his big roles, Winona Ryder getting another big star-making turn. This is one of those films that you watch, and like you said, Tim Burton just makes everything jump right off the screen. The visuals are insane. The performances are incredible. And one of the most heartfelt stories I've ever seen on the screen. Really, Edward Scissorhands is one of the best films. I think it's where I thought Tim Burton was reaching Spielberg levels to some point in that film. But since you guys haven't seen that one, let me roll a couple more past you.
Actually,
go right ahead.
Another Tim Burton one, and I don't know if this sort of falls in the family range, that I'm a huge fan of, is Beetlejuice. I think Beetlejuice is awesome.
Really glad you brought that one up. Yeah, I like Beetlejuice too. I think I've only seen it once though, but I'm a little fuzzy on it.
Okay, yeah, no, I love Beetlejuice. I've never seen Edward Scissorhands, but yeah, you brought up Winona Ryder and you brought up Tim Burton. I had to throw out Beetlejuice because the performance by Michael Caine's incredible in it.
Isn't it Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton, not Michael Caine. My bad. But yeah, I love that film.
Okay, great. And then I do have, I keep coming up with recommendations here. Let's keep throwing them out lightning round. Ghostbusters. I know me and Ryan disagree on this series.
I hate this film.
Go ahead, guys. What do you guys think of that initial first Ghostbusters film? Have you seen the sequels? Just fill me in on what do you think about Ghostbusters?
I found the first Ghostbusters. So I've only seen Ghostbusters 1 and then the most recent remake with Melissa McCarthy. Now, I watched Ghostbusters to prepare for the sequel, hearing nothing but great things about Ghostbusters with Dom. Yes, this was with Dominic, mind you. And Dom hyped it up so much.
I love Ghostbusters.
It just was boring. It fell so flat to me.
I can't see it, man.
It wasn't funny. It wasn't suspenseful.
It was very funny.
It didn't have a genre. It was just
It's one of those movies you had to watch when it came out. I think it lost its appeal to our generation.
And might I add,
Okay, so you guys lukewarm to say the least on the original Ghostbusters. Maybe for you guys, what sounds like not one of those films that's aged that well. For me, on the other hand, just to give the devil's advocate, if I were to score Ghostbusters, that original 1988 film, I think I would give that one a 9 out of 10. I really enjoy that first one, and then the remake. That we saw, I remember disliking that one. The only thing I like about the remake is Chris Hemsworth. Every second that guy's on screen, it's hilarious.
And I found the most recent one. I found it hilarious. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a Ghostbusters movie. It was Melissa McCarthy doing what Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig doing what Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig do best. And then Leslie Jones was in it too, and she is brilliant in everything. But yeah, I mean,
it could have been any other.
I would put them, 6 out of 10 for the original, 7 out of 10 maybe, more probably closer to a 6.5 out of 10 for the remake. I wouldn't say either of them really jumped out for me. Now there's that new Ghostbusters movie that, I mean, it was supposed to come out around this Halloween. That's the kids. That looks a little more suspenseful, a little more serious. That's coming out. Ghostbusters Origins, I think is what it's called. I don't know if it's still scheduled for Halloween, but
we'll see. I don't know. I think it's going to be a next year release, just like everything else.
Yeah.
If it were the kids from what's it called?
Stranger
Things.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like they're trying to make it in the vein of Stranger Things.
Because I like that they dressed up like that for Halloween that one episode.
Oh yeah. Stranger Things, another great recommend for Halloween. Maybe not kid friendly though. I wouldn't say. Maybe that's a teenager show. I would say. But
well, let me.
Go right ahead.
A quick lightning round. Just a few things I wanted to bring up.
Go ahead.
And then we should probably think about wrapping up as we're getting close to the 30-minute mark.
Okay.
But I just wanted to mention a couple of my favorite movies. They're not necessarily Halloween movies, but movies that have some awesome Halloween scenes. I'm just going to go with two. Of course, the Halloween party in The Karate Kid. Iconic. Yeah. The shower.
Definitely.
And then, you've got him dancing with Allie in the behind the shower curtain. And then you've got, of course, him going into the bathroom while Johnny is rolling the joint and putting the hose up and then running away. Of course, then culminating with that awesome scene with Mr. Miyagi confronting Johnny and the Cobra Kais.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And then I love the Halloween scene in E.T., where they've got E.T. as the ghost with the clown shoes, pretending to be Molly. Is that her name? The girl who's played by, not Renee Zellweger.
Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great scene, one of my favorite scenes, and one of my favorite movies, E.T. So a couple of my favorites. And then, of course, I just want to also get my childhood, the two things I always watch around Halloween. The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror series, incredible. For those of you who haven't watched them, it's a 30-minute series broken up into 3 parts. Always 2 of the 3 are in the vein of some sort of recent horror or science fiction film, which is awesome. And then also, my dad and I every Halloween have to sit down and watch some of the original Twilight Zones, which are all brilliant. You could get a crap.
Love Twilight Zone.
The 3 worst of them, and they're still all 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10s.
We should make our own episode of just the Twilight Zone. I think I want to plan on doing that because they always have the marathon for the Twilight Zone on New Year's. I think maybe we should try to do that this New Year's and do like our top 10 Twilight Zone episodes. Yeah, let's kind of wrap it up here with the last couple things. You took the words right out of my mouth, Ryan. E.T. is kind of a Halloween film. Steven Spielberg is great. It's one of the best family films ever made. Definitely we recommend 10 out of 10 E.T. I'm sure all of us love that one, have fond memories of that. And then just because we don't get to talk about it as often, and we do have Katelyn on the show for the first time, gotta mention a couple of my favorite anime movies that I think Katelyn might have a connection with one of them at the very least. That being Kiki's Delivery Service, I think is a definitely great, maybe not a Halloween movie, but a Halloween-related movie.
I had a question about that because when I was researching this episode, that popped up immediately, and I was confused. I mean, with the exception of her being a witch, if this was a Halloween film. But yeah, Katelyn had me watch this one with her recently.
One of my favorites.
I know it's one of her favorites.
Yeah.
It's more of a coming of age kind of video or kind of movie. So
totally.
understand what it's like to be a girl too. That part as well. I definitely related to it because I watched it as a kid a lot. As I said, I have two older sisters. They always watched a bunch of different movies like that with me, and like I really enjoyed them because I can kind of relate to it growing up and kind of leaving home and whatnot. So I
Awesome.
definitely would recommend it. Not a Halloween movie though, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe just the fact that she's a witch, you could kind of tie it into that, and that's also my other recommendation. Wanted to see if you've seen this one, Caitlin. Mary and the Witch's Flower. It's on Netflix.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
That's I would recommend it. Maybe not on the level of some of those Studio Ghibli movies, but definitely in the same vein and very similar to Kiki's Delivery Service. Would also recommend to check that one out.
I'd like to say though, you know what you could call almost sort of a Halloween movie, just for the scare moments in it, is Spirited Away.
I was thinking that.
Totally.
I mean, I hadn't really thought about that until you brought up Kiki's Delivery Service, but Spirited Away is without a doubt my favorite Studio Ghibli film.
Okay.
And I feel like there are definitely you could make the argument that could be a Halloween film, not because of the themes of Halloween, but because there's some great scares in it.
There's a lot of ghosts in it too, so
Yeah.
Halloween-like, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so a lot of recommendations for you guys on this week's episode. Debut of RB's girlfriend, Caitlin. Hopefully she comes on the show more often. Maybe if we do a Studio Ghibli themed episode, finally lock down a rank on each of these films, which one's at the top, what one's at the bottom. That would be great. But until then, you can follow me on Instagram at Dom Gonzalez48. That's Dom Gonzalez48 on Instagram. Let me know how we're doing. Send us a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube as well. And where can they find you guys on Instagram?
Yeah, find me on Instagram as always at RB_the_SID, or on Twitter at RB with the call. Do you want to give your information?
Well, my Instagram is Katelyn. It's KAYTOELYNN. And I don't use Twitter, regrettably.
All right, excellent. That was it for this week's episode of Top of the List. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time.